Hello students, topic of today's video is a practical of lab 1 electrocardiography. First of all, what is electrocardiogram? It is recording of electrical activities occurring in the heart in the form of action potential, not mechanical activities. And electrocardiography is a process to record the electrocardiogram. Now I assume you have learned the electrocardiogram in your theory lectures, so we will go through only superficially about the theory aspect of electrocardiogram, and then we'll learn about the recording of electrocardiogram and analysis of electrocardiogram that you have to perform today. And you have to record your observation in your journal. Now if you don't have your journal, then there is no problem. You can write down your recordings in your rough book, and later you can just write down in your journal. Okay, so first of all we will go through the theory aspect. Now characteristics of normal electrocardiogram. Now normal electrocardiogram contains P wave, QRS complex and T wave. P wave generates, that is because of depolarization of the atria. Q, R and S, all the three waves generates because of the depolarization of the ventricles. That's why we'll put all the three waves together. And the T wave generates because of the repolarization of the ventricles. Now as I have told you, ECG or electrocardiogram is a recording of electrical activities of heart. Now what is the relationship between the mechanical activities, which is in the form of atrial and ventricular contraction, to the waves of electrical activities, that is electrocardiogram? Now first, P wave, which records the depolarization of atria, will actually cause contraction of atria, so atrial contraction follows the P wave just after the P wave. Likewise, QRS complex is a recording of ventricular depolarization, which is prerequisite of ventricular contraction. So ventricular contraction or systole follows the QRS complex, and ventricles will remain contracted until ventricular repolarization is over, that is T wave. Now atria will repolarize after the contraction is over, so the atrial repolarization wave, that is also known as atrial T wave, will be recorded at the same time when the QRS complex has been recorded. So this QRS complex, which is larger, will obscure the atrial T wave. So normally you can record atrial T wave. Ventricular repolarization will be recorded as a T wave, after which ventricles will relax. So atrial depolarization, which is electrical activity, will be followed by atrial contraction or systole. Then ventricular depolarization, which is QRS complex, which is electrical activity, will be followed by the ventricular systole or contraction, which is mechanical activity. Electrocardiogram is recorded over a specific paper, which is made with the appropriate calibration lines printed, as you can see. Now the horizontal calibration lines are arranged so that the 10 small line divisions upward or downward in the standard ECG represent 1 millivolt, with positivity in the upward direction and negativity in downward direction. The vertical lines are the time calibration lines. A typical ECG is run at the paper speed of 25 mm per second. So each 25 mm in the horizontal direction is 1 second. Now each 5 mm segment indicated by the dark vertical lines represent 0.2 second, which are further broken into 5 smaller intervals by thin lines, each of which represent 0.04 second. So one smaller square represent 0.04 second horizontally and 0.1 millivolt vertically. One bigger square represent 0.2 second horizontally and 0.5 millivolt vertically. This you should keep in your mind while just measuring various waves in terms of time and voltage. Now first of all, normal voltages of various waves in normal electrocardiogram. Now voltages of the various waves depend on the manner in which electrodes are applied to the surface of the body and how close the electrodes are to the heart. So voltages may vary in different leads. If we record with the use of limb leads, that is 2 arms and 1 foot, then voltages will look like this. So first of all, P wave. Voltage of P wave is determined by the height. It is almost equal to 2 smaller squares here, so that is 0.2 millivolt. Now in case of QRS complex, it is denoted by the uppermost point to the lowermost point, that is almost 12 squares, 12 smaller squares, so that is 1.2 millivolt. It will be between 1 to 1.5 millivolt in case of limb leads. T wave here is of 0.3 millivolt, so it will be between 0.2 to 0.3 millivolt. In some leads in which electrode has been placed very close to the heart, you may get R wave of 3 to 4 millivolts. Okay, now after various waves, we will just talk about the sum of the intervals and segments along with its significance, which you have to analyze at the end of the video. So first of all, PQ or PR interval. It is a time between the beginning of P wave and the beginning of QRS complex. It tells us about the interval between the beginning of electrical excitation of the atria and beginning of excitation of the ventricles. Normal PQ interval is 0.12 to 0.2 seconds. Now here in this example, it is 1, 2, 3, 4 squares, small squares, so 0.16 seconds. Often it is also called PR interval, as here it is written, because the Q wave is likely to be absent. Second, QT interval. It is interval between the beginning of Q wave to the end of T wave. In case of Q wave is absent, it is beginning of R wave to the end of T wave, that is QT interval. It is almost same interval for the contraction of the ventricle lasts. Normally it is about 0.4 seconds. Here it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 squares, so it is almost 0.4 seconds. Next is ST segment. It is the segment from the end of S wave to the beginning of T wave. Now it is normally at the same height of the TP segment, which is between the end of T wave and beginning of P wave. But in case of ischemia, it may elevate or depress depending on the site of ischemia. Elevation or depression up to 0.5 mm is not abnormal. More than 0.5 mm is taken as an abnormality. Now last, RR interval. It is interval between two successive R waves. Mostly we will consider the tip of the R wave. You can also take the beginning of the R wave or Q wave also. Now this interval is used for the measurement of the heart rate. As you can see, there are almost 22 smaller squares between these two R waves. Now there is a formula. It is heart rate per minute is equal to 1500 per number of horizontal small divisions, which are 22 in this case, so it is almost 68 per minute. You can also take bigger divisions, then you have to divide 300 by the number of big divisions. Now various types of electrocardiographic leads has been used to view electrical activity occurring in the heart from different angles. Now in any lead there are two types of electrodes, negative and positive, and potential difference between these two electrodes is recorded. Now there are various types of leads, but routinely we use three types of leads: bipolar limb leads, chest leads, and augmented unipolar limb leads. Now in bipolar limb leads has been attached to three limbs, two of the arms and one foot, that is left foot. Now there are three leads. Lead 1, in which negative electrode has been attached to the right arm, positive to the left arm. In lead 2, negative to the right arm, positive to the left foot. And in lead 3, negative to the left arm and positive to the left foot. Now there is Ethman's law, which states if you sum up the potential difference in lead 1 and lead 3, it will be exactly equal to the potential difference in lead 2. Second, chest leads. Now in chest leads, negative electrode will be attached to the three limbs collectively, left arm, right arm and left foot, and the positive electrode will be attached over the surface of the heart, as you can see here. There are so many chest leads are there, but routinely 6 chest leads has been used. So the difference will be only in the situation of positive electrode. In V1, this electrode will be situated in right fourth intercostal space. In V2, left fourth intercostal space at the left border of the sternum. In V4, left fifth intercostal space on the mid clavicular line. V3 will be in the midpoint of V2 and V4. V5, left fifth intercostal space on the anterior of the anti-axillary line. V6 over the mid-axillary lines in left fifth intercostal space. So all these 4 will be in the left fifth intercostal space. Now augmented unipolar limb leads. In this method, one electrode is active while other is indifferent. There are 3 unipolar limb leads: AVR, AVL and AVF. Here A stands for the augmented leads and V stands for the voltage. And R, L and F stands for the R for the right arm, L for the left arm and F for the left foot. Now active electrode is attached on the right arm, left arm and left foot respectively. The other electrode is connected to the remaining 2 leads through a high resistance coil. For example, while recording from the lead AVL, the active electrode is placed on the left arm. The indifferent electrode is connected through the high resistance to other two electrodes placed on the left foot and right arm. So other two limbs will make negative electrode and one limb will make positive electrode. So in AVR, positive electrode will be in the right arm and negative electrode will be over the left arm and left leg collectively. In AVL, positive electrode will be in the left arm and negative electrode will be in the right arm and left leg collectively. In AVF, positive electrode will be in the left foot and negative electrode will be in the right arm and left arm collectively. These are the various samples for the different types of leads. Lead 1, 2, 3 chest leads, V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6. Augmented unipolar limb leads, AVR, AVL, AVF. Okay, now we will move to the mean axis of height. First of all, you should know what is vector. The vector is an arrow that points in a direction of electrical potential generated by the current flow with an arrowhead in the positive direction. Also by convection, the length of the arrow is drawn proportional to the voltage of the potential. Now if we take only direction of the vectors of ventricles during depolarization only, then it is known as mean electrical axis of the ventricles or heart. In simple language, it is direction of electrical current spreading in the heart during depolarization, which is from the base of the heart towards the apex of the heart, as you can see in this diagram, which is around 60 degree. Normally it can swing between 20 degree to 100 degree. Beyond that, it is known as mean axis deviation. Okay, so now what we have talked about was mean axis of heart. Now we'll talk about mean axis of different limb leads. Different limb leads has different axis of its own. These are the different angles from which we will observe the electrical activity occurring in the heart, as we are using different cameras in cricket match. So we will put different leads in different direction and we will observe this electrical activity from different angles. Now axis of the lead will be from negative to positive electrode, because direction of the electrical current is from negative to positive. So if you remember position of the negative and positive electrodes in each lead, then you can determine this axis. For example, in lead 1, negative electrode is in right arm and positive electrode is in left arm, so the axis will be at the 0 degree. In lead 2, negative electrode is in right arm and positive electrode is in left foot, so the axis will be at the 60 degree, which is almost in the same direction to the mean axis of heart. Now there are some thumb rules. If axis of lead is in the same direction of mean axis of heart, then you will get largest and positive R wave. If axis of lead is in the exactly opposite direction of the mean axis of the heart, then you will get largest but negative R wave. And if axis of the lead is perpendicular to the mean axis of heart, then you will get very small R wave, positive or negative. Now what we have talked about were axis of limb leads, which is fixed, which is not a case of chest lead, because in chest leads positive electrode has been put over the chest surface, so even slight change in the position of positive electrode will change its axis, which is from the back to front and slightly upwards for the V1 and V2, and back to front and slightly downwards and left for the V3, 4, 5 and 6. Now after knowing axis of various leads, Let's see how to determine mean axis of height. It is very simple. For this we will use two leads, limb lead 1 and 3. First of all, you have to calculate net vector value. That is slightly different. It is positive deflection minus negative deflection of R waves in lead 1 and 3. So if the voltage of R wave is suppose 0.8 millivolt, then it is 8 mm. But if there is negative deflection, like in case of this lead 3, then you have to subtract this negative deflection from the positive one. So if positive deflection is 0.8 and negative deflection is 0.2, then the net vector value will be 0.6. Then you have to plot them on the axis of these leads. Lead 1 towards the 0 degree, lead 3 towards the 120 degree. Then drop the perpendiculars from the end of points of both lead 1 and lead 3. Then you have to draw a line from the midpoint to the intersection of these vectors. That will represent the electrical axis of left ventricle. Mostly it will remain between 20 degree and 100 degree. Here it is 59 degree, so almost normal. If it deviates more than 20 degree, then it is left axis deviation, and more than 100 degree, then it is right axis deviation. Okay, so we will go through some important points about the procedure of recording ECG. First of all, ask the subject to lie down on the couch comfortably. Clean the skin thoroughly with alcohol around the left and right wrist and left and right leg, just above the ankle joint. Connect the electrodes in appropriate position. All the leads should be connected or specific positions, so all the electrodes which are color coded must be appropriately connected. Then switch on the machine, keep the stylus at the center and adjust the sensitivity to 1 cm per 1 millivolt, and then adjust the lead selector knob to record ECG in 12 leads in order of 1, 2, 3, AVR, AVL, AVF and chest lead 1 to 6. And then again take the standard calibration. After that, tear out the paper from the machine. Write the name and age of the subject and date of the recording, and then you have to take observations. Now there are some precautions that you have to take while recording. Subject should be totally relaxed. Then right foot mostly is connected for the grounding electrode. A minimum of 3 ECG complexes should be recorded from each lead. The stylus should be adjusted so that it records at the center of the paper, and recording of 12 leads should be done in proper sequence. Okay, now your exercise starts. You have to take observations based on the sample ECG, which I am going to show you in next 3 slides, and write it down in your journal, which contains the same observation table like this, or rough book if you don't have your journal with you, and also convey this message to all of your colleagues. Now let's see which are the observations that you have to take. These are, first is rate, that you have to calculate based on the RR interval as we have discussed earlier. Then second is rhythm. Now rhythm basically is seen by calculating the successive cycle lengths, that is in terms of RR intervals. However, there may be some minor variations, which may be up to 10% is taken as a normal, but it is more than 10%, then it is irregular. So you have to calculate RR intervals for 3, 4, 5 maybe successive cycles, and then just compare them. Okay, third is P wave voltage, P wave duration, PR interval. I think you can calculate all these three. QRS voltage, you have to just take the voltage of QRS complex from the lowermost point, either from Q wave or S wave, to the uppermost point of the R wave. QRS duration from the start point of the Q to the end point of the S wave. In case of ST segment, you have to just mention it, whether it is normal, elevated or depressed. If it is elevated or depressed more than 1 mm, then and then you have to consider it as a abnormal. Otherwise you have to consider it as a normal. TOA voltage duration. Now in case of axis of left ventricle, you have to first of all determine the axis, and then you have to measure whether it is deviated towards the right side or left side. From 20 to 100 degree it is considered as a normal. Beyond that it is considered as a deviation. So that is all about the observation table. These are the observations that you have to observe from the sample ECG, which is I am going to show you. Okay, now this is the sample ECG. As you can see, lead 1 from here to here, lead 2, lead 3, AVR, AVL, AVF, V1, V2, V3, V4, V5 and V6, and this is the last strip which contains only lead 2, long strip of lead 2. It is used to determine the rhythm. See, you can calculate the RR intervals, many RR intervals from this strip, and you can see the rhythm. So this strip is mostly used for the rhythm and rate as well. Okay, now this is the magnified version of the above sample, showing only lead 2. So it is same electrocardiogram, from which you have to calculate most of the observation except rhythm and mean axis of heart. For rhythm you have to use long strip of lead 2, which I have already showed you, and for mean axis of heart, wait till next slide. Apart from that, all the observation will be obtained from this slide, so you can pause this video and obtain your observations. Now for the mean axis of heart, these are the magnified version of lead 1 and lead 3 of the same sample. First of all, you have to obtain vector value of the R wave from the lead 1 and lead 3 as we have discussed, and then you have to plot it over the axis of leads 1 and 3 respectively, and then you have to obtain mean axis of heart, which will just tell you about the deviation, if it is there or not. So that's it. I think I have just explained you each and everything. If you still have a query, then you can go through my video again. If still doesn't solve it, then you can ask me in lab when we meet, and I hope that will happen very soon. Till then, goodbye and take care.